with freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21 hash or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
The Chilux bundles from Airtel have been upgraded. Introducing Voice Chilux bundles. No validity, no expiry, no worries. Dial *100 *1 hash, select voice bundles and choose your preferred Voice Chilux bundle today. Talk longer with loved ones across Uganda with Voice Chilux bundles that don't expire. Airtel, the smartphone network.
TV, welcome to News Tonight, this Monday, the 27th of March, 2023. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. Elizabeth Nakakoni joins in for sign language. In a first story this evening, the police spokesperson Fred Enanga has told the media that during the interrogation, some witnesses confessed several exhibits have been recovered. It follows a special security task force formed under the presidential directive to investigate the issue to do with the iron sheets that were meant for Karamoja sub-region. We have details to this story.
The iron sheet scandal seems to be drawing to a close after a hard directive by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to security to handle the matter. The Inter-Security Agency's investigation has taken 2 weeks.
The tasks team also sent out groups to the fields in Karamoja and all these other places. And we are also expecting field reports from the Karamoja region and these other places. We've recovered several exhibits from some of the witnesses.
The task force will submit collected evidence and statements to the Director of Public Prosecutions.
To conclude, the recording of statements from witnesses this week. By Friday, that process will be concluded. Then the other technical part of compiling the case file for the legal opinion of the DPP will be concluded the other week.
Reports at the office of the IGG show that at least 30 members of parliament were named in the iron sheet scandal. Meanwhile, in Mkono district, police have rescued 15 persons from alleged human trafficker who is a pastor, Kisoma Jacqueline. She has been arrested.
A total of 15 victims were recovered, including their children, about 8 children. 8 children from their families were also recovered and are right now in a shelter home under CID.
In Mubende district, Police arrested Bruno Mbazila for sodomizing juveniles. He was a dormitory warden at Mubende Model Primary School.
However, we've identified 7 other primary pupils whom we are going to subject to further medical examination today, following complaints that they could have been sexually molested by the same warden.
Security advises district education officers to intensify schools' inspection to check practices of homosexuality. Abdul Nasir Lukomwa for UBC.
The Uganda Police Force, in a period of between 19th to the 25th of March this year, registered 10,584 traffic offenders due to overspeeding, reckless driving, driving while on phone, driving dangerous mechanical condition vehicles, among others. 67 people, however, died from the 368 crashes registered across the country, for which pedestrians and motorcyclists registered the highest number of deaths.
Isolated cases of loading passengers on lorries are witnessed at some spots on the roads across the country. People are loaded on 2 vehicles, especially those to and from markets in rural settings. This, according to the traffic police spokesperson, is against traffic laws and guidelines.
By law, a truck is licensed to carry luggage, not passengers.
Such is witnessed in the presence of traffic police officers assigned to monitor the flow of traffic. These offenders are subjected to a fine once arrested, though many get away with it.
And if you're found on road operating a truck, carrying passengers instead of goods, you're breaching the license of that truck, and the EPS fine ticket is 200,000 shillings.
This has contributed to the increase in the statistics of the road accidents.
We've come to realize that in these areas where they ferry people on trucks, some of them are using trucks that don't belong in those areas.
Starting 19th to 25th March 2023, the police accident report shows that 67 people died in car crashes, with the highest number registered in Busoga, Rizi region, Kampala Metropolitan.
Majority of the victims who sustained serious injuries were motorcyclists still. These are riders of motorcycles. These were followed by passengers on motorcycles. If you're moving on that motorcycle, take caution.
The accidents are attributed to overspeeding, reckless driving, and ignoring traffic signposts.
Some people on our roads don't even indicate where they are going. Some of them only indicate when they reach the point where they are going off the roads. This one caused crashes last week. Then we also have brake failure.
Meanwhile, 4,281 motorcycle riders have been tested and given driving licenses to operate public service transport. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News, in Naguru.
The Parliamentary Committee on Government Assurance has threatened to suspend Enago project from the works to rehabilitate the 72-kilometer Kampala-Jinja highway, whose project sum is 82 billion Uganda shillings. During the inquiry into to establish why the company, which was previously blacklisted by the World Bank for misconduct, was awarded contracts by government of Uganda, the committee was so surprised to discover that government had injected 13.9 billion shillings to rehabilitate Nakawa-Seita Road in the first phase along the same stretch.
Members of the Parliamentary Committee on Government Assurance have squeezed officials from Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA, while they continue giving huge projects of road construction to Enago that was banned by the World Bank 2.5 years for misconduct in banks' financed roads and development projects in Uganda. The company lied about its bid documents that it had single-handed carried out impressive roadworks in some parts of the country, although it was assisted by subcontractors. Members of the committee wanted to know if UNRA did its own assessment on Enago, and as a report, they responded that they did due diligence.
Boss, Chair, how was Enago procured for the first segment?
Financial capacity. They submit their financial capacity. Some of them don't have lines of credit. and other factors. But of course, the road goes for the lowest evaluated.
Uganda National Roads Authority contracted Enago because it was lowest and evaluated bidder in procurement, doing 10-kilometer road Nakawaseta at 13.95 billion shillings, which works were completed. The new contract is to rehabilitate 74-kilometer Kampala-Jinja Highway Road at 82 billion shillings, whose works are at 30%.
The advance payment sometimes can help the contractor mobilize for the whole stretch of the work. Then this other certified payments is the one which is supposed to be exactly equivalent to the work done on site. Thank you.
We are talking about maintenance. Why did you change? Because to us as lay people, it is as if the money you are putting in maintenance works, if put together, would even rehabilitate the road.
In 2021, we have not even implemented 20%. Why? Resources. So what is in the plan may be different from what is implemented. We implement according to the resources available. Yes, that road also is due for rehabilitation, but we don't have resources for that.
Uganda National Roads Authority officials took members of the committee for a fact-finding tour to the project sections, and what they found around Spear Jinja Road was shoddy work on drainage.
So sad that at the very point where this work is supposed to have begun, we find that even management of drainage, just the drainage, the simplest part of road making is not done. We have been told by people who trade around this place that every time it rains, however small the rain might be, this area floods.
In the first contract, we did the same road, but we did this section at Vergerere and the other section was at Seta. And that we started on 2019, it was finished on 2021. The road is there. And
the company constructed a bridge around Chambogo meant to avert flooding, but members of the committee seemed dissatisfied with the works.
Constructing a bridge here before acquiring an access route for the water is so irresponsible, done deliberately, to spend the money where none should have been spent. Because we are going to hold a special hearing about this particular bridge here.
Appointment, this particular section of Banda Nakawa, which normally floods because of rain. The contractor did a good job, but we are challenged at this particular point where we are stationed. The water doesn't have anywhere to go. And UNRA is saying they need the money to compensate the owner of this petrol station for the contractor to provide a way for
come and say, you people get out before you compensate them. What we are trying to do is to make sure we talk to those people, compensate them, have land, like we do everywhere, we do roads, and take the drainage there. What was here was a small pipe, and it was blocked by those buildings.
Uganda National Roads Authority has been instructed to carry documents that include capacity report of contractors, procurement report that led to Enago winning contract, and why UNRA opted for periodic maintenance instead of rehabilitation. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwitabinji in Kampala.
The Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, has renewed their partnership with China Radio International to enhance content sharing between the two broadcasting houses. UBC Managing Director Winston Agaba says that the partnership will see quality programming, including the African language Swahili.
Today we are here with China Radio International. We are just renewing our partnership, which has been running for over 10 years. So we have now renewed this relationship, and very interesting programming that they've come up with. They are doing programming in Kiswahili, based in Kenya. So the partnership is looking at how we are going to tap into the programming that they have. News, future stories from China, international news, and also they've developed cartoons in Kiswahili. So this is something that we're looking at having on our platform with them.
As you know, we are really focusing on and really looking forward to we can do something together in the fields of news content sharing and exchanges of personnel, and also what probably you concerned a lot is the fields of technical exchange or technical some mafunzo, training, yeah. So we want to discuss in detail in this field how we can do something more in these fields.
The accused persons in the matter were legislators Alan Sewanyana and Mohamed Segirinya, facing charges of terrorism and murder, have prayed to the International Crimes Division Court to quickly expedite the matter. This follows the legislator's lawyer, Evans Ocheng, to ask court to adjourn the matter on grounds that he wasn't ready to proceed since he wasn't familiar with the case.
Legislators Mohamed Segirinya for Kawempe North and Alan Sewanyana for Machinde West and co-accused persons have yet again appeared at the International Crimes Division Court in Kololo to proceed with a pre-trial conferencing of the offences of murder, terrorism and attempted murder. Before Justice Aiskom Hanji, prosecution and other defense lawyers were set to proceed, but the legislator's lawyer Evans Ocheng said he is not familiar with the case.
They have been co-opted in an hurried manner. I was before Justice Gidudu, but I've appeared before for the two honorable members before. So the lawyers, I am really cropping up to understand what is coming up today. My Lord, on behalf of the two honorable members of Parliament, I am not ready to proceed.
However, this was objected to by the accused persons of the legislators, citing that their journey to justice is long overdue due to unnecessary adjournments.
This matter had been fixed for today for a pre-trial. When state indicates that is ready, my Lord, we shouldn't take it lightly. It's my humble prayer, my Lord, if this court is to consider any adjournment today, it be clear that it is the very last adjournment.
Meanwhile, the legislators, through their lawyer Evans Ocheng, filed an application for court to start the pre-trial proceedings until the constitutional petition is determined.
There is a constitutional petition filed in the Constitutional Court, and there are two applications pending to stay these proceedings because the constitutional petition touches the rights in these proceedings. So we felt that the court cannot proceed to hear the criminal matter when those applications for stay are pending.
Justice Aiskom Hanji set 3rd April 2023 for hearing of this application and 24th April 2023 for court to proceed with the main case. Segirinya Muhammad, Alan Sewanyana and 5 co-accused persons were charged on 3 counts of murder, attempted murder and terrorism allegedly committed in August 2021 at Setala, at Senya villages in Chimanya, Masakat district. Rebecca Nantongo, UBC News.
With freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21 hash or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
Their support meant so much to me, and as a teenage girl, I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
Are
Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Look no further. Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money. We have revised our rates, and now sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Plus, you can trust Airtel Money to get your money where it needs to go quickly and safely. Simply dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
Glow as you are with the new Spark 10 series smartphone from Airtel in partnership with Tecno. Own the timelines with picture-perfect selfies using the 32-megapixel selfie camera, 256GB storage, G88 gaming processor, and a strong battery to last the whole day. Haha! Towakana.
The Spark 10 smartphone comes with free 3GB from Airtel and 100% bonus on weekly and monthly bundles every month for 3 months, so you can stay connected to a world of possibilities. Dial *100*5# to enjoy free data. The new Spark 10 is available in all selected Tecno shops countrywide. Airtel, the smartphone network in partnership with Tecno. Stop at nothing.
UBC News Tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome back from the break. Uganda People's Defense Forces, that's the UPDF, troops have raided ADF camps, put out of action about 20 rebels, and recovered several military and communication facilities from the rebels. The operations commander, Major General D. Kolum, told UBC on phone that they are making progress and hopeful about the operations.
Undertaken a lot of achievements. We have dealt a lot of blow to the ADF. I should say in that open word that we've killed a lot of them. We have rescued so many children and women. We have also rescued more of the people who have been abducted by the ADF, and we continue to do so. We think the UPDF, in conjunction with the FARDC, which is the Congolese military, have made very widespread and very much achievement that is being realized between this mission.
Yes, sir, the story could be longer, but specifically I want to understand your latest attack, in which we do understand that over 20 ADF rebels were put out of action.
We've been in an operation for some time, and it's not really a surprise attack, as you said. It's our routine missions that these UPDF soldiers, in conjunction with FARDC, move in those fields in the Eastern Congo, and we happen to have fallen on one of these groups. Yes, first of all, it was not only the 20. On the 23rd, the same force hit 8 of them, and we recovered a lot of equipment, including radio calls, mobile phones, ammunitions, and those 8 were killed. And on the 26th, which is a few days ago, we still fell on another group where we hit up a total of 20 of these ADF guys. We captured 4 guns, 318 ammunitions of the AK-47, 186 ammunitions of the multi-purpose machine gun, a lot of walkie-talkies, 12 solar panels. All this was recovered on the 26th. And eventually, as the soldiers were moving around, we found 2 more dead bodies, making the total of those killed to 22. These are the achievements that just occurred in the last 3-4 days. And I think it's an achievement that will continue occurring.
The Uganda Railways Corporation will start railway line rehabilitations from the 3rd of April 2023. The head of communications, John Linon Sengendo, told UBC that the rehabilitation works will take 13 months.
At least over 1,000 rail users are going to be affected in the exercise, expected to commence from Kampala to Namamve, effective 3rd April 2023.
The project is 13 months. We're going to start with the Kampala-Namamve section. That will take around 6 months. Then we shall do the Namamve-Mukono Chetme station section. That will take around 7 months from April 2023.
Uganda Railways Head of Communications, John Lincoln Sengendo, told UBC that the business community transporting goods from Malaba to Mukono will still be accommodated.
Most of our clients, their cargo terminates at our Mukono ICD, so it never gets into the section of Kampala, of Mukono Kampala. Meaning not so many will be affected, but those who will be affected, the cargo will be moving on water. The cargo that is coming past Mukono will move on water, and then it can use this section. But for passenger, between 800 to 1,000 people will transport per route. Actually, that is around 1,600 will transport per day. Won't be able to move on rail for 6 months.
The rehabilitation will involve uprooting the steel sleepers and replacing them with concrete sleepers which cannot be vandalized.
A concrete sleeper, what is there? The metal that is there is smaller than my finger. So it doesn't make sense. And not so many Ugandans know that there is even, so it doesn't make sense. So that is the reason why we resorted to concrete. Because steel is very expensive. Every sleeper that there is steel, you have to replace it, and it's expensive. But this concrete can last 100 years without no one stealing anything.
Therefore, all persons residing within the rail reserves must vacate immediately.
Along the Kampala Mukono reserve, to adhere to our call to vacate the reserve 10 meters on either side to allow us to do the construction. Because any delays are costing government, and this is not what any Ugandan would love their government to go through.
Mary Namkose, UBC News.
The Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has this Monday evening landed in Kitgum, where he is on investigation of the invitation of the locals leaders, and is set to pay attention to the escalating insecurity arising from cattle rustling. General Muhoozi will be part of several engagements in Agago and Kitgum starting this Tuesday, the 28th of March, as part of his 3 days visit in the sub-region.
In the evening of Monday, 27th March 2023, the Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, landed in Kitgum district. He was received by a delegation of both political and security heads. Here, the waiting crowd, led by mainly school-going children, welcomed him. And this was his procession to Kitgum Central Business Town. This thunderous team of boda operators ushered in the first sun into Kitgum town. The crowds cheered, the smiling general waved back. Poaching into the continued cattle wrestling in the sub-region tops General Muhoozi's visit in the area.
Particularly, it's come to hear firsthand the issues of the insecurity caused by Karamojong warriors which has escalated and has come to a very dangerous position. People lose their lives, people lose their properties, and it's the president talked about it recently during the General Laum memorial prayers, and we're glad that the presidential advisor on security has come to hear firsthand what is happening here and what measures should be taken to alleviate this situation.
But we feel our message is not reaching to the right, to the right team, the senior command seated discussing security of this country. So I am hopeful that the visit of the first son, General Mose Kainerugaba, who is a people-centered person. He has this heart to help the people, and he feels the pain of the people normally. I've seen him respond and address some of the issues that people are having in line with security silently. So his visit to us is a big, big deal. We feel we are more than hopeful than ever before that solutions, lasting solutions, will be found to this problem that we are going through.
It is alleged that this station has posted many locals into hereditary poverty.
But I can tell you, if you look at the communities and you see the rate of poverty in those areas, you really feel that we need to do something, and immediately, because there's nothing that can be implemented in those areas. People are in the run. The medical workers are not there, the schools are not working.
According to local leaders, it is time to forge a long-lasting and convincing solutions.
The deployment has to be beefed up across the border lines. We need to increase the number of the soldiers, we need to facilitate these soldiers. We also need to engage the local leaders and have a robust approach. The communities feel when they recruit some of the retired soldiers who are there with the community, they know what to do because they've already been trained, they know how to use guns.
My belief is that we need the president to invest into mobile armored personal vehicles. The walking and tracking these individuals in this terrain, tall grass, bushy grass in this area is not easy.
The first son will be in the region for close to 3 days. Robert Nyango, UBC News, Kitgum.
Thank you very much.
Former Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Margaret Nantongo Ziwa, has defended the admission of more countries into the regional bloc. This assertion comes in the midst of a process to admit the Federal Republic of Somalia into the East African community. Nantongo describes the move as a quest for both economic and political stability, which all East Africans should embrace.
Few months ago, newly elected members to the East African Legislative Assembly took oath, pledging to tackle all setbacks, including non-tariff barriers.
And we need a law in place so that we can have one currency, we can have a single currency to make sure that the transaction of business in East Africa is made possible.
We are beginning on the united front, and I believe it will all be well.
3 months later, these challenges persist. The recent denial of Ugandan milk to the Kenyan market is one of them. This has led some leaders into poking holes in the integration.
That's why I call upon the leaders for the East Africa. They should go on round table and sit and stop making the East African cooperation to be cosmetic. It should be practical, because even the Bible says you will know them by their works.
They want East African community member states to speak with one voice.
Because Congo speaks a different language to Uganda, Rwanda has a different language to Congo, Kenya has a different language to Tanzania. So we are the same team playing but scoring different goals.
This perhaps is the reason why more countries are being admitted into the regional bloc. Margaret Nantongo Ziwa is a former member and speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly.
By bringing them in, there are conditions which they are given, which, for instance, make the East African community a stable region. For instance, if I would use the local language, there are those protocols which are like, don't come to aggress me and I will not aggress you.
South Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo are recent entrants into the East African community. The admission of Somalia is a process ongoing, to which Nantongo is optimistic.
You can't say, I'll sleep in my bed when the neighbor's house is on fire. So it's in that spirit that it is agreed that let's allow them to join the East African community. Let them be brought on board on the framework. Because now we have a framework of how do we relate with DRC. Because before, we didn't have a framework.
So what about the delayed political federation?
Different people must submit various memorandas when they have been fully sensitized on those issues, and they say, okay, what powers should remain at the provincial level, at the state level, and then at the regional level. We have to agree on all those. That's not a very simple consultative process.
Henry Okrut, UBC.
The family of a successfully separated conjoined twins who were at Mulago Referral Hospital have been officially handed over a new home donated to them by the Habitat for Humanity Uganda Rotary Club of Kampala in Kampala South in the presence of the leadership of Munyoro Kingdom and Hoima District Administration. This was after the house they were living in was deemed uninhabitable for their health and was in a dire state. Doctors from Mulago Hospital had appealed to well-wishers to fundraise for a home for the twins.
This is the old house of Moses Taremwa and Helen Kugonza, parents to the successfully separated conjoined twins from Bulinda village in Hoima district. Doctors at Mulago Hospital had deemed it unsafe for the twins to resettle after their operation. They then called upon well-wishers for better shelter.
Habitat for Humanity is coming in handy to support us through this endeavor, and particularly these particular ones who are vulnerable, and having them a decent home.
National Director of Habitat for Humanity Uganda, Robert Otim, noted that with the Rotary Club of Kampala South, especially Rotarians from Bunyoro, they responded to the fundraise for the new home for the twins' better development and recovery.
We decided to commit to bring actors together, the Rotarians, particularly from Bunyoro, to contribute towards this effort. And we are so excited today to be handing over this home to these twins, and contributed by the generous donations from the Friends of Rotary and constructed by Habitat for Humanity.
I'm glad to say that we were able to raise all the necessary funds required for this project. So today we are happy to come and witness this ceremony of handover.
Bunyoro Kingdom Prime Minister, Hoima District leaders, Rotarians from Rotary Club of Kampala South, Habitat for Humanity staff and surgeons, together with residents of Bulinda Village, Hoima District, were at the handover. Bunyoro Kingdom Premier and Hoima District leadership advised the parents to the twins to embrace parish development model to improve their income.
Bunyoro Kingdom is running a program known as a desired Bunyoro Kingdom desired homestead, or Ekekwe Simisa in Bunyoro. And the aim is really to ensure that homes are good places for people to live in, but also to support families, to make them stable.
But we must make sure that with the land they have, they use it productively. As a leader, I'm providing them the seeds to make sure that they use it effectively.
The conjoined twins were born on the 15th December 2021 to Gonza, Helen and Moses Tarema of Bulinda village in Hoima district. They were referred to Mulago National Referral Hospital by Hoima Regional Referral Hospital and operated successfully on the 15th February 2022.
God for this wonderful gift of the house built for us. The house, it can live for more years and more years. What I know that they've built it with one heart.
Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
The third bishop of the Central Buganda Diocese, Michael Lukomwa, has commended Parliament for passing the anti-homosexuality bill to curb moral decay. This was during prayers organized by Mothers Union Women while celebrating the Marian Day at Maddu Church of Uganda.
The day celebrations commenced with a service led by the 3rd Bishop of Central Uganda Diocese, Michael Wawa, who appreciated the recent passing of the anti-homosexuality bill tabled before Parliament, urging parents to be responsible in grooming their children.
Tubuulire enjiri eza essuubi eri abaana baffe. Ebigambo ebyebusiyaga bye muwulira ebyo kanisa ng'eyimiridde twebaza Parliament yayimiridde naye neefulumya statement nga nabo bakivumirira.
The event was attended by the area MP Robina Gremen Rakozo and local leaders. Rakozo, who led a fundraising campaign for a vehicle for Central Uganda Diocese, contributed 2 million Ugandan shillings. Rakozo urged members of Mothers Union in Central Uganda Diocese to form a circle and tipped parents on child upbringing.
Abachala mbakubiriza okola ebibiina kubanga mu bibiina ebyo sobola basakira. Wako omukyala ow'empisa oyaniriza bulungi abagenyi osamukawo ekitiibwa era abaana bajja kikola.
The President Mothers Union in Central Uganda Diocese, Sheila Mojoni, advised the members to get involved in economic activities to close gaps of violence.
Nyigire mu mbeera benyigire mu mirimu egibayamba okulaakulana babeere nga balina kye beekolera kuba tuzudde nti omukyala bw'abanga alina naye kyateekako mu nsawo. Obwavu buno bwe businza okutawaanya abantu bw'abanga naye alina engeri gy'ayambako awaka n'ayamba ku munne ne bakolera wamu. Kikendezaako kuki ku butabanguko bwe giba mize mirala era nga mu bigendererwa byaffe bwe biri tugendera nabo tubasomesa.
Jerry Con! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Bang Jerry Con with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only. Mundava! Best movies I teach you. When I'm going to move Muscari, because of the camera is very far. Is you serious? It's serious, you. What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs, and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru, and Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Barra and Jinja.
The Chillax bundles from Airtel have been upgraded. Introducing Voice Chillax bundles. No validity, no expiry, no worries. Dial *100 *1 hash, select voice bundles and choose your preferred Voice Chillax bundle today. Talk longer with loved ones across Uganda with Voice Chillax bundles that don't expire. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Business news tonight. Uganda's business community involved in exports and imports must diversify their routes through utilization of other trade routes. The appeal by private sector leadership comes amidst bi-weekly protests in Kenya that interrupt business.
Week 2 of the bi-weekly protests in Kenya. The protests are instigated by the opposition Azimio la Umoja President Raila Odinga over high costs of living. The trend is proving costly to business.
Uganda is a high-cost importer, and any disruption causes trade issues, cost spike. And therefore, we need to always think of alternatives.
The Ugandan business community is affected, says Francis Cheserinya, an official at the private sector Foundation Uganda.
So, for instance, the Nairobi-Nakuru road has actually been blocked, and you know that is the artery. It is the road that Ugandans, the goods that are coming to Ugandans pass. So that blockage, if it has happened, know very clearly that goods are stopping, trucks are stopping to move, and therefore a truck that you would be expecting here, for instance, in a day, or could take a few more days, because the driver is also looking to see the situation so that they can only drive when they are sure that these goods can move safely. So there is already that is happening, and I'm sure it is going to cause disruption in supply of goods to our country.
Other private sector players are not different.
Our wish is that disruption is minimized so that trade flows. I think there can be an appeal to the leaders to find ways and means of dialoguing so that we minimize the disruption in trade and by extension, disruption in financial flows.
This is what we are appealing for, that we must diversify our market so that when there is any disturbance or turbulence in one market, then you should be able to continue to survive because you have more than one market. So this is the desired objective, and we are trying to make sure that as we promote harmonization of standards, facilitation of intra-Africa trade, Uganda in particular should be able to make sure that it diversifies its risks of trading with more than one country.
Past skirmishes in Kenya have had dire consequences to landlocked countries like Uganda that overly relies on the northern corridor.
I believe for the individual business people, it is important for you to diversify and see what component of your cargo goes to the southern route, which is the route that goes through Dar es Salaam. We are aware today that the Dar es Salaam route, the government of Tanzania and the Tanzania Postal Authority is trying to improve this particular route.
So Tanzania gives us the multimodal, the sea, the railway, and the lake. So your Port Bell, Bukasa hasn't started, but Port Bell and the vessels that are there, MV Kawa or Umoja, should now be a little focused on afresh, just so that we have more capacity available on the lake. URSC now makes more sense with Tanzania Railways Corporation, but that's in no way at all. And so the multimodal, so you have that, and then you have Mutukula. Mutukula gives us Masaka and then the western part of Uganda.
The business community, therefore, must reduce the risks by utilizing other trade routes in the region. Tanzania's Central Corridor is the most viable.
It's often argued that when Kenya, the East Africa's biggest economy, coughs, the rest of the member countries catch a cold. The bi-weekly protests in Nairobi, Kenya, have literally put Uganda on the edge. Dennis Igoa for UBC News in Kampala.
Uganda Revenue Authority is hosting members of African Tax Forum from 32 African states. The three-day event is aimed at discussing cross-border tax recovery and information sharing in Africa.
The Revenue Authority is moving towards a tax administration system with other African states which will enable information sharing on cross-border assistance in recovery of tax claims.
As you know, businesses operate across boundaries, across nations, and yet tax administrations
take charge of specific jurisdictions of different countries. So how do we keep track of the operations of multinationals, and how do we keep track of activities of those taxpayers that operate in more than one country?
Tax administrations are fixed in terms of boundaries. They cannot do anything beyond their national boundaries. But when it comes to taxpayers, they are not fixed. They are mobile. So because of that, their assets and cash or funds move quite often across the globe. So in order to do that, then you must put together these tax administrations to ensure that they realize the risk of unchecked taxpayers, especially those who are non-compliant.
The African Tax Administration Forum hosted 32 African countries in Kampala to harmonize and harness tax collection within the continent.
As of today, over 100 jurisdictions are doing automatic exchange of information on financial accounts, which means that any Ugandan taxpayer based in Uganda holding financial assets, let's say in Kenya, in South Africa, or in Singapore, will have to pay the due taxes, because the Uganda Revenue Authority will have a means to obtain the information on those foreign-based assets annually. So this is a tremendous progress.
The African Tax Forum was formed in 2019 to help member countries on tax recovery and cross-border information sharing.
2016, ETAF has been able to assist African tax administrations to assess over $3 billion, and about 1.3 billion has already been recovered in areas of audit and areas of the transfer pricing. We have also built about 22 exchange information units in some of the African countries, because without the exchange information unit in a tax administrations, you cannot exchange information, or even if you do it, you don't do it the way it's supposed to be done.
Sadam Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Small and medium enterprises in Uganda have been struggling to access the Small Business Recovery Fund put together by the government and commercial banks to help them recover from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Bank of Uganda, as of September 30th, only 8 participating financial institutions had disbursed loans amounting to 4.8 billion Uganda shillings.
The Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises has been advocating for greater participation from financial institutions and a more streamlined process for accessing the fund.
Only 7 billion shillings has been disbursed out of the 200 billion. And the challenges, I would say, are mainly due to the limited awareness by the MSMEs, the unclear requirements when applying, but also the hesitance by financial institutions to lend at an interest rate of 10%.
The participating financial institutions are Opportunity Bank, Pride Microfinance, Trust Bank, Post Bank, Housing Finance Bank, Diamond Trust Bank, Centenary Bank, DFCU Bank and Equity Bank. While these numbers suggest that some progress has been made in disbursing the loans to SMEs, it is still a relatively small amount compared to the 200 billion Ugandan shillings in the Small Business Recovery Fund.
If they are planning for the people, I think we should be consulted first, either they get to know what we need so that they budget for us well.
They argue that the limited participation from financial institutions is hindering the effectiveness of the fund in supporting small businesses.
I think engaging them will be for another day, but for now we want to work with those that we believe have bought into the Small Business Recovery Fund and are willing to disburse. Of course, they have genuine concerns. They are saying, now you're asking us to give money at an interest rate of 10%, yet our own money is being given out in that 20s or whatever. So this may affect the competitiveness of our own products.
In response, Bank of Uganda and the FSMEs are working together to increase awareness of the fund and to encourage more financial institutions to participate. The upcoming awareness events at Uma Showgrounds in Kampala, Soroti, Mbarara and Arua are part of these efforts.
It can be like 5 million. 5 million can be enough to start this business because most of the people here in Kampala, like if you have a very small stock, they won't buy from you. I only need some hard cash, nothing else.
The effort of government and the central bank, along with the federation, to increase participation and streamline the application process are critical to ensuring that small business owners can access the support they need to recover from the pandemic. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News in Kampala.
UBC News tonight. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has hailed Zimbabwe's efforts to move to climate-resistant grains such as millet to improve food security. And FAO team is in Zimbabwe to promote the grains and celebrate the International Year of Millet.
Years ago, all these fields belonging to Chieza Rupedo would mainly be dedicated to corn for sadza or ischwala, a thick porridge that serves as the country's staple food. It's now all small grains. The change in crops has been easy, Rupedo says.
I prefer small grains because this place is hot. There is less rain, which is suitable for millets. Plus, we discovered that small grains need less labor to plant them.
But not everyone prefers the small grains, which some call traditional grains. Vangelis Hartatos is Zimbabwe's Deputy Minister of Agriculture.
Some people have been resisting, and that's also correct because, you know, they haven't grown traditional grains for many years. And now you're trying to influence them to grow. So there's naturally, as human beings, we are going to resist. But like I said, when you see your next door farmer producing and thriving, you yourself, you make that decision and say, you know what, the government, what it's saying is actually correct. Let me try.
According to the Zimbabwean government and the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, small grain yields are triple those of corn, the country's staple crop, and are more nutritious. Scientists say that with climate change reducing rainfall and causing recurring droughts, farmers should move away from corn.
Zimbabwe used to be called the food basket of Africa. Zimbabwe is, is one of the areas that we consider the center of origin for sorghum in the Southern African region. And because of the diversity and the hard work and the investment that the government is making in this area, we thought that Zimbabwe is a good example and a good place to start with launching International Year of Millets in Africa.
Andrew Mushita heads Zimbabwe's Community Technology Development Organization and has been working with the UN Food and Agriculture Organization to promote small grains in the country. He says a corner has been turned in the last 2 years.
Precisely because then we are facing challenges of climate change, which is quite devastating and which has seen Zimbabwe being a net importer of food rather than exporter of food. So that really brought a wake-up call for both government and many development partners and civil society organizations to begin to invest in the production and increase the utilization of traditional foods.
The government hopes that small grains will soon make up at least a third of Zimbabwe's food reserves and that the country can resume exporting surplus food. Columbus Mavunga for VOA News, Masvingo, Zimbabwe.
We thank you so much for watching, and now let's talk sport. The National Council of Sports has started the 2023 District Outreach Program with stops at upcountry locations of Gulu, Lira, Soroti, Kapchora, Mbale, Tororo and Jinja. John Band Sentamu reports that the visits are meant to meet various sports stakeholders to grow this industry.
As part of its mandate, National Council of Sports engages in annual district sports outreach programs, during which it visits various locations around the country. The visits are organized for technical staff from the National Council of Sports to meet various stakeholders in an interaction aimed at growing sport.
Sports world over requires collective responsibility. It requires teamwork. And for us to succeed at council, I want to say here that we cannot succeed in saying we are developing sports in the country without involving you.
Their first stop this year has been Gulu and Lera districts, where a tour of Peche and Akibwa stadiums was the highlight.
We are happy to be here. It's a fairly well-maintained facility. You can see that the leadership on the ground is at least keen on ensuring that the minimum standards are taken care of. We have perimeter fencing. We have a Maram training track, which you can see is usable. The kids are using it to train. The grass pitch, is in a fairly good condition. But of course, as far as development is concerned, it's underdeveloped. It's not developed level where you can do anything international. This is just for simple local training. So the reason for us being here, first of all, is to familiarize with the state of some of these facilities, to see how they are in development. The structures that are here, most of them date back to so many decades back.
A visit at the Kaunda Stadium in Gulu revealed neglect and glaring gaps that call for immediate intervention. A case in point is the encroachment by truck drivers and timber dealers that is slowly endangering the existence of what's arguably a perfect location to solve Uganda's sports infrastructure, Achilles Hill. Over 60 districts are to benefit from this latest outreach that will also focus on education about the sports bill that will soon be enacted into law.
The government, as a response, has moved forward to ensure the challenge we had over years on the law has been passed by Parliament, and this new law will address all the challenges that take us to professionalizing and managing sport as an industry, no longer as a leisure, no longer as a recreation.
National Council of Sports also donates sports gear that they expect to address grassroots development that will anchor the nation to success.
We wanted to tap the young talent. Since sports in Uganda is going down, someone can come like today, someone this year is on top, next year is nowhere to be seen. So it is our duty, and we have made it as a mandate that as a National Council of Sports, we need to tap talent, and we are starting from Lango sub-region, Gulu sub-region, and right now we shall be leaving for Lera for the same function. Once start tapping talent, we want every year to be having people who are representing Uganda, not only one person there after that, then some person disappears, no. So we have come with an idea of touring all the regions to see that talent is promoted.
The next stop for the National Council of Sports technical team is Soroti District. John Barnes, Sentamo, YBC News.
It was a battle of the best strokes and serves at Makerere Tennis Court as players fought for victory in the third leg of the Uganda Tennis National Championships. Trevor Kaziwe triumphed over the hard-hitting Marvin Kiriwo from a set down, as Francis Agonzebwa redeemed himself from last week's loss by defeating Kati Musa 2-1 in some of the most entertaining matches of the day.
The most awaited match between Trevor Kaziwe and Marvin Kiriro did not disappoint, as it lived up to the expectation of the tennis fans. Kaziwe, who was a set down, showed his resilience by changing his strategy and varying his shots to keep his opponent off balance. After losing the first set 4-6, Kaziwe rallied back to win the next two sets 6-2 and 6-4. In other games, youngster Troy Ziwa proved himself by defeating Jonathan Mugisha, and Uganda's #1 and #3 seed, Frank Tayewa and Simon Ayela, had convincing wins against opponents Bob Masiko and Edward Birungi, respectively. For the ladies, Winnie Birungi registered a win against Judith Nalukwago. Gura Arora defeated under-16 star Abigail Nabisanga, and Alison Comfort lost to Patient Athieno in an interesting turn of events.
At the beginning, it wasn't working out for me as I expected because it was too strong for me. But then I tried to recover back by just playing the balls back in the court and finding my rhythm. So the game, I'm really happy for this win, and I hope I could continue with this form. Me as a person, I've really gained so much confidence on court than before, because even in this match that I've just played, I came here against the odds, and I've been managed to go against them.
The competition here is really at another level. I think the best in Uganda. So I'm getting that exposure that we needed. We needed the competitions in tennis in Uganda, and we are getting them. Thanks for this tournament, and we keep improving. The way we were last year is not the same way we are this year, so it keeps getting better.
2023, we have got new good players who have joined in, and I know they are going to put a competition towards my side, and I have to work hard to get back my position of being the champion.
I'm gaining a lot because now, I used to fear playing, like to play matches. When I enter the court, I could be shaking with a lot of pressure. But now I just enter the court when I'm relaxed. So I'm gaining a lot and even getting more experience.
With Frank Tayewa, Trevor Kaziwe and Marvin Kiriro tied at the top of the table with 6 points each. And for the ladies, Winnie Birungi, Remi Chimanji and Patience Athieno, together with Alison Comfort, tied with 4 points each. The championship has now moved to the most intense stages. Grace Joyce Kemigisa, UBC News.
And that brings us to the end of all we had for you. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa with Elizabeth Nakakoni and the whole team. Wish you the best of the night and the week we start. Bye-bye.